Can you tell us what area of Botswana we're in now?
You're right in the northern part of the delta, which is more or less the beginning of the delta, in an area called NG32, okay, which is Ngami land. NG stands for Ngami land, and we have a lot of neighbors, but this particular block's name is NG32.
And how big is the area?
This NG32, all right, just to the left of us, we've got the Santanta Dibe River, which is our boundary with the Moremi Game Reserve. So this small section of NG32 is probably about 25 kilometers in width and 23 kilometers in length. Oh. Now on the southern part of the Santanta Dibe is a photographic area. Okay, and bordering the photographic area is another camp in the delta called Ivory, which is all classified as NG32. So if you're looking at the size of the whole concession, you're probably looking at about 40 by 35 kilometers. This camp that we're in now is Korokwe, and it's predominantly a bull area. We do have some breeding herds on the northwestern part of bordering the Moremi. We have a lot of breeding herds, but mainly for elephant. Other species that occur here are buffalo, wildebeest, lechwe, impala, baboon, leopard, lion, sesame, and smaller cats and all that sort of stuff. But it's mainly for the elephant.
Your size of the elephant hunting for
It's quite an incredible area for the size it is, and I've been hunting in Africa for a long time, and for an area this size, it's probably the best average on ivory I've ever seen. To give you a rough idea, we take 12 bulls a year, and I'd probably say 65-70% of them go into the 65-70 pound bracket area that can yield elephant like that. Sorry? Incredible bird life here. You know, obviously the delta, it's holding immense quantities of geese, ducks of all kinds, spur-winged geese, knob-billed ducks, Egyptian geese, yellow-billed geese, francolin, guinea fowl, cranes, herons. It's it just goes on and on and on. It's it's a bird watcher's paradise. So it's not only the hunting side. You know, for the photographic side on the left-hand side, where they have a camp called Stanley, a lot of people come in purely for the Mokoro rides. Mokoros meaning wooden boats that they carve out of certain trees, like this leadwood tree on our left here. That's one of the main trees that they carve a Mokoro out. Excellent fishing in the center part of the delta as well, you know, so the activities that go on is never ending.
Ian, since I've been here, I've seen a lot of lion in the area.
Just probably about 2 to 3 years ago, they closed the lion hunting down. Okay, it was a big deal where the local people on the other side of the buffalo fence that you've seen there, it's a buffalo fence in between, it's a buffer zone between the local people and the wildlife area. It also stops foot and mouth disease coming in. A lot of those local people were complaining about foreign tourists coming in to hunt lion. They were not allowed to kill the lion that were killing their cattle. So they took it up to much higher levels in government and turned around and said, well, if the tourists are allowed to kill the lions and they're killing our livelihood, which is cattle, what must we do? So the government totally closed lion hunting. Leopard, not too much of a problem. There's a lot of leopard here, which we still do hunt. Very, very limited quotas, very small quotas. But like I say, they closed the lion hunting down, and it's the poisoning and stuff that's going on. There's going to be no lion left in Botswana unless they start putting them back on quota. Because I believe it's actually the hunting side that look after them. So rather than them get poisoned by strychnine and things like that, we should put them on the market where it brings the local people a lot of revenue as well.
So you're saying that the locals are killing the lions?
Absolutely, because the lions are going across and killing the cattle. And what they do is they'll poison the carcass with strychnine, and sometimes a whole pride of 7 to 8 will go and feed on the carcass, and that's it. They all die. Out of all the areas I've ever hunted in Africa, this is probably one of the favorite places I've ever been. I've done a little bit in Zambia. I've done Tanzania. I did for 10, 11 years. Zimbabwe, in the southeastern part of Zimbabwe, on the border of the Gono Game Reserve, Malapati Safari area. Chiwore, which is, we all know very well. But this area for elephant is quite incredible. In an area like this, you can say that you will see 25 to 30 bulls a day. Different bulls, not the same lot. You can go on a 21-day safari in Zimbabwe and you might see 5 bulls in 21 days.
And the largest size of the elephant for 2004 for this area?
So far, Johan Khalid Safaris has been very lucky, where in the beginning of the season we shot an 85.5 pounder, and to end off our last bull we shot a 94. What Botswana's policy, which has been for the last couple of years, is they would like to introduce, and it's actually happening now, where you get less tourists spending a lot of money than a whole heap of tourists spending less money. So that is actually working very well, and especially in the photographics, where you're not overcrowded in your areas and all that sort of thing. It is high cost, but you pay for the quality of the experience. And that's what Botswana has to offer, is the wildlife experience, which everybody comes for. They believe that Botswana actually at this moment is holding about 120,000 elephants, which is quite incredible. Now, just to give you a rough idea, there's only 180, 200 maximum elephants shot in Botswana every year. And for a population of 120,000, the quota is actually a joke on what we should be taking. They talk about a 1.5% yield on your quota. Well, you work it out, 180 to a ratio of 120,000 elephants. It's quite ridiculous. On a graph, you'd never even see the difference. I'll be a little bit bold by saying the GreenPeace are actually going to love these elephants to death. Because, who wants to see a magnificent animal like that die of actual starvation? Just to give you an idea, up towards the Chobe, okay, there was a drought last year, a lot of water, but when you start finding dead elephants, 14 to 20 dead elephants in your area, they are actually dying of starvation, very old bulls, and we are actually not taking enough, or the government's not doing enough to maintain the amount of numbers that occur in the country. Something has to be done in the near future, otherwise our children and our children's children aren't going to see the numbers of elephants that we are seeing today.